have the race that we want. And Bill Cassidy, you cannot run. You cannot hide anymore. This race is starting tonight.
Well, she thinks so. Home is where the heart is, land where the buffalo roams out west. And back east, there is a place many call home, and many would tell you that every day they see and catch a whiff of what might smell like buffalo droppings around town. But in the end, it's all just politicians talking. The man who makes sense of it all every single day here and via the Newsmax Mothership website, our chief political correspondent, John Gizzi. John, how are you today?
I'm doing just great, Ed. I'm like the weather. I keep coming on strong, and I'm bright.
Not snowing yet in D.C., is it? Or are you expected to get some?
No, it's not snowing at all. It's quite nice outside. Good. I don't even need my standard reporter's raincoat.
Yeah, not yet. Here comes the wintertime. Mary Landrieu seems to feel very confident about the runoff election in Louisiana. Does she have any reason whatsoever to be confident?
It's called whistling past the graveyard, and I will tell you, I spoke last night to Roger Villaret, the Republican state chairman of Louisiana, and he was feeling very upbeat, which is nothing short of sensational considering the New Orleans Saints lost to the 49ers last night in overtime. Mr. Villaret points out that Rob Maness, who came in third in the race and necessitated the runoff with Mary Landrieu December 6th, has endorsed Congressman Bill Cassidy, the second-place finisher. Mary Landrieu was expected to finish first comfortably. She barely edged out Mr. Cassidy for first, 42% to 41%. And now, and this is widely reported, the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee has cut her off completely from cable and network television commercials. I don't think it looks good at all. One final point, Ed. Mary Landrieu's case was always that she would be chairman of the Energy Committee in the Senate and have the clout for the Pelican State in the next Congress. Well, regardless of what happens to her, Republicans are going to control the Senate, and she won't have clout at all. I'd say it looks pretty good for Mr. Cassidy to become the 54th Republican senator on December 6th.
A couple of minutes we got left here. Certainly it's an interesting note that former Representative Phil Crane, the Republican out of Illinois, he died recently, and it came only a few days after the 50th anniversary of Barry Goldwater's run for the presidency.
And that's very poignant, Ed. Phil Crane worked on Barry Goldwater's campaign. He had been an Army veteran, a college history instructor, someone who won a special election for Congress against all odds, having never run for office before. And yet, along with Reagan and Goldwater and William F. Buckley, he was a key player in providing intellectual firepower for conservatism in the 70s and 80s, whether the issue was keeping the Panama Canal, abolishing the Department of Education or the National Endowment for the Arts, or all the other key conservative causes. He served in Congress more than 3 decades, and throughout most of that period, he was someone who made conservative breathe and walk. And young conservatives particularly admired him because he always had time for discourse. Phil Crane will be missed, a major player in Congress in his heyday.
I only got a couple seconds left, but I do want to point out he was, and you point out this in your article, he was only one of 10 U.S. House Republicans to back Ronald Reagan over President Gerald Ford in 1976. One of only 10.
Indeed he was. And the sad thing is, Ed, that as close as he was to Reagan, he insisted on running for president himself in 1980, and many conservatives felt he would just take votes away from their hero and his friend. Well, he didn't. He fizzled after the New Hampshire primary and supported Reagan, and they got along throughout his presidency. Phil Crane was ahead of the game. He backed Goldwater when it wasn't popular and Reagan when it wasn't popular, and that shows that he'd rather be right than be president.
Passing of an interesting man indeed. John, always a pleasure, my friend. Keep that hat rocking. We'll talk to you again real soon.
Lots to talk about. Thanks, Ed.
You got it, John. We'll see you again. John Gizzi's inside the Beltway, and when we come back, time to head for the water cooler. Oh, my, my.